So, have you ever been at a point in your business where you've kind of lost maybe the passion, the drive to make your business a success? And maybe you're thinking, maybe you're going through it right now. Maybe you're thinking of either giving up and going back and getting a job, or selling your business, or just shutting it down and just doing something completely different because you've been pushing and pushing and things have changed, the economy's changed, the world's changed. You don't know what to do next. Well, today, my friends, we sit down with Stephanie Gross, and her story resonates a lot with me because I went through a point in time in some of my businesses where I had lost the passion and I was ready to sort of move on. Stephanie's story is not just inspiring, but it's also very insightful and educational. I want you to grab a pad of paper and pen. Seriously, this time I want you to grab a pad of paper and pen because I think you are going to get some amazing golden nuggets and some insights that you can use in your business, especially if you're at a point where you're feeling it's very heavy and it might be time to move on. Have a listen. Love to hear your feedback. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Marshall Stern, and I've spent over 35 years leading and growing multiple small businesses. I know firsthand the struggles of entrepreneurship, feeling isolated, lonely, overwhelmed, and feeling like you have to do it all by yourself. I've been through multiple recessions, and I have felt the highs and the lows. I've been there, and I get it. This podcast is here to change that. Every week, I will bring you straight talking advice, real-world strategies, and honest conversations about what it takes to succeed in business without the fluff, the gimmicks, or the sugarcoating. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress, then you are in the right place. This is the Stern Truth.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Stern Truth, Business Unfiltered. And I would like to introduce you to my special guest, Stephanie Gross. How are you?
I am fan-freaking-tastic.
I freaking love it.
Yes.
Let's go.
I'm doing great.
Why?
I think that it's interesting when I said that when we first met today, you're like, there's got to be some like not great things too. And it's so great because it has been such a hard ride to get here. So you can appreciate how great it is now, you know?
Yes. Okay. So for context for our listeners, because this is the Stern Truth, but before we get into the real Stern Truth, let's hear your Stern Truth on what you do, how long, and a little bit about your journey.
Sure. I would love to share that with you.
Perfect.
Well, first off, I just have to give a shout out to Gilmore Guitar, where I'm sitting in the studio, which is right next door to my shop. And he's been coming over to buy soap for me for a little bit, and we've been buddies for a while. And I thought, hey, can I come over and use your amazing studio? Because he does podcasts, and so he makes guitars, and he's like Santa's workshop. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him. And so it's really cool sitting in this really amazing office. I don't know, for those of you on video, you can see I have like this very professional camera that I'm excited to share. So my journey, I started my business 18 years ago when my son was born. The name of the company is Bumby Wool. We are a custom merino wool manufacturer. So we make everything here in Red Deer, Alberta, where I'm located. I said we because I have three wonderful ladies that work for me. My first two hires are still with me, and they've been with me for about 16 years. And so we were, a stay-at-home mom, sort of in the basement business, bootstrap. And a few years ago, just before COVID, I decided, I am the leader, if you will. So I decided that we were ready to take the business to the next level. So we incorporated, moved into commercial space, and COVID hit, and now the tariffs, and been a lot of ups and downs over the years for sure. But I look back at where we started and those humble roots, and I'm just really, that's why I'm like, so many cool things have been happening in the last little bit. So we make custom merino wool clothing for all ages, all genders, newborn, plus size, inclusive, with colors and sizing and everything. And we make, everything is made to fit. So it's like an old school dressmaker or tailor. So somebody will come in to the store, or they will do it digitally with us, and we will help them figure out a capsule for them or custom clothing, and we'll make it to fit them. And we ship all over the world, mostly to the United States.
Very nice. Well, let's also, so we'll get into all of that. We're also going to give a little bit of a shout out to the amazing Kelly Kennedy,
I was gonna say, yeah.
where we met in the Catalyst Club. So
Mhm.
gang, come go check out the Catalyst Club. And Kelly's podcast, Business Development Podcast, also a very cool podcast.
Which I shamelessly invited myself to be on his podcast shortly as well. So
That is awesome. No, that's what we do. That's awesome.
it's all about sharing our stories, you know?
Yes, for sure. So I'm curious. So when you came on today, you said you're freaking fabulous or something, or freaking fantastic.
Mhm.
And then you follow that up with because things haven't always been freaking fantastic or freaking fabulous. Quick story, it reminds me of a coach I used to have. I'll say it was a Tony Robbins coach, one of his coaches. This is about 10 years ago. And I let her go after about 5, 6 months. It had nothing to do with Tony. It was her. But every conversation,
I feel like there's a lot of trauma in the back of
yeah,
that story, but
every conversation. No, he's really good. Every conversation started with she'd get on the call and she'd go, "How are you, Marshall?" I'd go, "I'm fine. How are you?" And she'd go, "I'm super duper fantastic." Every single time, like it was so scripted. So when you said it the way you did, it's like that was kind of like, oh, trauma, flashback, PTSD. Um,
but I really mean it because
I,
I
and
did
we,
not answer it like that a few months ago.
no, I didn't know that. And we've talked before.
Yeah.
And she would say it every time for 6 months, like every week for 6 months. And then
Mhm.
one day, about 4 months and 5 months in, I just said, "Really? Are you?" She goes, "Am I what?" I said, "Are you really super duper fantastic?" And
Mhm.
that was pretty much the end of the
Yeah.
downfall of our
You
relationship.
got to be
Anyway,
authentic, you
you have to
know?
be authentic.
Sometimes sometimes we're tired, sometimes we're overwhelmed, and I absolutely love what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and it's hard, and it's great, and
Yeah.
right now I'm feeling pretty on top of the world, so I'm ready.
So why, here's a question for you, and I want to hear
Mhm.
your stern truth. Why are you freaking fantastic now? Why are you feeling that euphoria now? Because based on where you were, like, what was it that how'd you get out of whatever you were in before? What did you do to get to this point? Because it just doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't just happen at all. Actually, I just got goosebumps. I'm so excited about, well, I'm an enthusiastic, excited, passionate person just in general. That is my authentic, stern truth. And I've definitely been standing in my way far more than I want to admit to myself.
Mm.
Um, I was asked a question a little while ago, about the entrepreneurship journey and how did you decide to be an entrepreneur? And I don't think there's very few people that I think decide to be an entrepreneur. It's just you're born that way, or it just all of a sudden you look back and realize that you've been doing it for a while. It's, um, so there's a couple of funny stories that I usually share when I kind of that origin story. So one was my mom asked me when I think I was 4 or 5 if I wanted to move to Japan. And I paused for a second. I thought about it, which I do. That's in my nature to pause for a second and think about it. And then I said, "Yeah, okay, I'm ready." And then I started crying a little bit. And she said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "Well, I'll go, but I'll miss you." And I was like 5 or 6. I was ready. I was ready to move to Japan on my own. And I've just always been kind of challenge accepted. I'm just ready to go. I love sushi and seafood, and I'm like my background of knowing Japan was a 5-year-old watching cartoons, so I was just ready to go. And when I was selling Girl Guide cookies, we went around. They drove us to like the affluent neighborhood, and we were selling our Girl Guide cookies. And one girl that I did not like very much went up and sold all of her entire case to one house, like not just a box, like the whole case of boxes of cookies. And I was just so jealous that it was so easy for her. And I went home, and it was luck of the draw. That person was waiting for the Girl Guide to get to the door. And I remember I got home and I told my mom about it, and she's like, "Don't worry about it. You don't have to sell them all. It's okay." And I was young, and I said, "No, I'm just jealous that it was so easy for her. I will sell all of my cookies. I will go door to door. And if they say no, I will just knock on the next door." I mean, these are the words that came out of my mouth. So, I mean, I've just always been like that. And um, so my whole journey to get to where I am now, it was just a very organic, this is what I meant to do and has always been. And I've just always been about finding the most efficient, effective ways of doing whatever job I've been in as well. getting promoted, or when my first job was at Dairy Queen, and I knew like the price of 2 peanut butter parfaits like by memory, and I could have them at the drive-through window before they even drove up, because it was a game. Life is a game for me. So when I started my entrepreneurship journey, it was just really, it followed through with all of that. And I think that going through all of that, and then when I started the business, my son, who was little, and well, he's a newborn, and I wanted to cloth diaper him, and I couldn't find cloth diapers at the time. It was the beginning of internet shopping. So I made some because challenge accepted, and I thought, well, I was in Fort McMurray. I don't know if your listeners are familiar with the area, but the oil sands in up northern Alberta. And I always make the joke that you're either busy working or busy making money or busy making babies. There is a really great mom and parent community up there for sure. So I thought there's a market for diaper covers, or diapers, and that's where I started my business before we moved down to Red Deer, where I am now. So it just all felt very, and then, so to answer your question, I started the business, son was born, focused on the family. And then COVID happened, and I have this amazing team. My staff are amazing. My customers are amazing. We've been running for a really long time, and it was small, and it was meant to be small. The whole point was to put food on the table of the women that worked with me and for my family, but also to focus on our kids. Like that was the goal. And there was a lot of challenges that happened along the road. But the kids are graduated now. All of the children are graduated, except for the 2 youngest that are in grade 11 of the staff, like mine and Becky on the team. And they just don't really need us as much anymore. And the tariffs hit, and it was hard, even though we're duty free, and the tariffs shouldn't have impacted us as much as they did. But it just created so much instability. Like, what's going to happen if I ship a package? And are the clients going to get taxes, and what's going to happen, and just the economic instability in general. So, and I remember at the beginning of the fall season, which is usually our wool season, we're busy at that time. It wasn't as busy as I expected. My son's gone off to university, first year university, and we're not busy. And I'm just looking around going, I have built this amazing business that I am very proud of, with some amazing women, amazing customers, and we're not busy. And I asked myself, what am I doing? Like, I can't imagine closing down. But this isn't working. Like, nothing is working. I felt like I was on the wrong path. I was having an existential crisis. This is when I met Kelly. Like, I was having a bit of a nervous breakdown, and and we're talking September area. So I stopped and I paused, and I got out of the river that I was in. And I just like, this isn't working. This path is not taking me where I want to go. So I got out of the river, and if you will, and then I looked around and just thought about, what do I like to do? Why am I doing it? Listened to some podcasts, and really went deep into what we're doing and how we're doing it. And I got into another river, and it was the river I'm supposed to be in. And it's the river that I started with the Girl Guide cookies. And, like, it's the river I'm supposed to be in that path. And granted, I've learned a lot of things, and I could have gotten in there earlier. But now, like, everything is just so much easier. Like, I got invited to the local, the Red Deer Polytechnic, it's our college. And I got invited to a breakfast this morning to talk about things. And Alberta Women Entrepreneur Group invited me to be a keynote speaker last week. I'm getting invited by amazing people to do podcasts, such as yourself. And just being engaged with the community and what we're doing. And like, just everything is just, I made some really big goals, and I had already accomplished all of them by the middle of January, like my annual goals. And
Wow.
so I just set some new goals that are big goals, and I'm just going to keep on trucking towards them. And yeah, it's just fun. It was so hard, and it was like just pulling myself, just bobbing along this river, barely swimming, and then and drowning. And now it's like, it's just a lot more fun. So I'm just really fan-freaking-tastic.
That's what I'm calling the episode, fan freaking tastic.
Yeah.
So I love what you've said, because whether it's a river, I love the river analogy, because you're going down the river, right? Going down the river, or path. Okay.
Mhm.
But it's so hard. Like what you said is so true. And I always think of this for myself in my own journey. Okay.
Mhm.
Because I had a business for 29 years before. Well, I started coaching 14 years ago, but another business I sold 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now, signed and printing company. And at times it was really, really hard. And I had to ask myself why. And I
Mhm.
realized, and for a lot of my clients that I coach, and you've realized that, and for our listeners, I want you to think about this. When it's so hard, like constantly, not just like once in a while, like this week or this month or whatever, but just consistently hard, ask yourself, are you on the right river or the right path?
Mhm.
Because it's like when we're trying to, that door, we're trying to open that door and it's jammed and you're just like, you just keep, so, okay, I'm just going to bust that door down. And you try to, but it
And it's a
shouldn't,
brick wall and your
a
fingers are
brick wall,
bloody and yeah.
right? Because it
Mhm.
is so much easier when
Mhm.
you're on the right path. Everything makes sense. It doesn't mean it's not easy and there's no work, but it's different, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
Things,
today I've been running off my feet and I got up at 6 o'clock so I could go to this breakfast thing. And then I have, meetings all day and making things and doing things but it's fun. And so it's easier because it's so much fun and it's what I want to do. Somebody said, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen?
mhm,
And the worst thing that I could think of was that I closed the door and said, nice to meet you. And the last 18 years have been really fun. That was a good ride, and shut her down. That's the worst thing that could happen to me with what I'm doing. Quitting is not an option.
mhm.
And yeah, I mean, so pivot whatever we need to pivot. But I mean, I just can't even imagine not doing what I'm doing. So yeah, failure was not an option. So I mean, there's just getting into a different, it's not saying the river, the path, what have you, isn't necessarily the job or the whatever. It's just how we're engaging with it, I guess is my point.
Yeah, yeah, no,
Mhm.
no. You embrace it or fight it. And the fight, like the fight or flight, right? Well, the flight would be like closing up, right? And then the fight, which you can only fight for so long, but sometimes it's just the wrong path. Now, it doesn't mean it's the wrong business, and that people get that mistaken, right? And for some people, it is maybe, or maybe it's the wrong clients, or maybe it's the wrong direction of the business, which is, I think, more, and some of the activities. And that's what I like have my clients focus on. Sometimes when we're pushing so hard, we're pushing because we're doing the wrong stuff.
And I think that's where that pause and really actively think. And that was one of I think the biggest things. I always say your greatest strengths are also your greatest weaknesses. And that happens
Hmm.
so often in movies and TV shows. It's such a common theme. And it's about being in control and strategic about what you're thinking about, what you're feeding your mind, and how you're engaging with those thoughts. And are you reacting to the emotions and the thoughts, or are you witnessing them and then
Mm,
thinking about why, you know, just because something feels right or feels like the right, that's where you get stuck in those paths of this cycle of over and over and over again. It's like, okay, I'm going to follow my guts. Well, sometimes your guts are leading you down the wrong path. Like you need to be strategic about what you're thinking, what you're feeding your mind, and yeah. So training our guts.
okay. Oh, you bring up a really good point. But how do you know if it's your
That's the
if
question of ages, isn't it?
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, how do you know? Like if you so for our listeners, I mean, they might be resonating. Yeah, I feel that. I'm like, whatever it is, I'm putting money in ad spend, in advertising, and I'm just pushing. I'm LinkedIn, I'm outreach to constantly to people and to this, or I'm going to all the networking events, and it just feels so hard, and I'm
Mhm.
just trying, whatever it is, whatever our business is. How do you know if our gut is telling us the right things? If it's, and this is a big question, right?
Mhm.
Is it our belief system? Like when do we trust ourselves and our gut?
And that's
Or
such a big question. And in my opinion, I mean, I've been we are what we feed ourselves, right? And I think our mind as well. And, the whole thing of we are what we eat. And I think the same thing goes for our mindset. And so I found people and things that didn't just resonate, but also made sense and agreed. It was in alignment with my core values of
okay.
what I want to do and when the big why, right? Like Simon Sinek always talks about the why. And I agree with most of what he says, and not all, but if you can whittle it down as to why you're doing what you're doing, and that can transcend, it's not just about your business, but it's about your life. And like my big why is about, and however lofty it is, and it may sound silly, but it's my truth. Is I want my legacy, and I want to have a positive impact on the world for being here. Like, what's the point of being here if you don't make the world a better place for being here? And I mean that authentically. And so I try to uplift and empower the people around me to go chase their dreams. My kids are doing amazing, and my husband's doing amazing. And I think it's just this energy of like, go for it. Like, I remember asking my son, like, what's the big dream for when you go to school? And now he's totally nailing it, doing nuclear engineering in Ontario. And I'm so proud of him, and I'm so proud of the kids in our, like, the business kids, and some of my clients, I talk to them about things, and they share their stories, and it's like, just go for it. Don't let fear stand in your way. And I think that just kind of built around the whole business. And I don't even know what my point was. It's gone. But I just think, if you're, I know what it was. It's just about, if you have it centered in your mind why you're doing what you're doing, then whatever vehicle is that you're choosing, it just makes it so much easier to answer that question too. And if it's not driving you towards that, then maybe you should be doing something else. And just getting out and thinking about it for a minute instead of reacting.
Yeah.
Be strategic. And it's hard to do that. It's you have to practice it.
I think so. So here's my take on it. I agree. And I'm all about the why. More the way you put it. Simon's awesome, and it's all comes from, the why was around before him, but he really reinvented the why. But with my clients, like I'm always saying, you have to get clear on your why you do this thing. First, there's two whys, and we forget the first one all the time. Why do you start your business? Most of us forget why we started. Was it freedom of time? Like that whole thing, freedom of time, freedom of money, all that kind of stuff. Because we don't know better. We don't know better.
Get rich right away.
And you're working like longer hours for like less money.
I know.
No vacations, no dental plan, working for a psycho boss, right? Which is ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but there has to be deeper why. And I always say, like what you said, it has to be in alignment with your personal why, has to be in alignment with your business why.
Yes, absolutely.
Has to be. And I fought with that with my other company for the longest time. I wasn't really sure what my why was with my sign company, but I had a personal why, and it wasn't like totally out of alignment. I really wasn't sure what my why for my sign business was, right? But when I started to get clear on my why, that's when I started actually coaching, and that's when I fell in love with this whole.
Even your whole face shifted. You were talking about one, and then you're like, but this.
And my why is just, it's a why. It's my why. It's not on my website.
What about business coaching do you love? Like, what's the why behind the business coaching?
It's the same. It's my why. It's just to inspire and empower people to be themselves, be their best selves, live their best life, achieve what they want to achieve, go after their dreams. It's to inspire and empower. And so in my other business and my coaching business and my community work, I'm on a nonprofit. I'm on a nonprofit. I'm on a board of a nonprofit, and my family and my friends. That's my job, just to inspire.
And we made a new word. I love it.
A new word, but inspire and empower. And I remember seeing Oprah years ago in Vancouver. Well, I didn't really see her. I saw her on the big screen because we were up in the nosebleeds, and she was like this big. But
you were there.
I was there. I was in the same building. And she even said, and this was when I went on my journey. I went on my sort of self-discovery why journey. And she said, she believes that everyone has a purpose in life. And she says, I believe our real job, you can have a job as a firefighter, as a stay-at-home parent, as this, whatever. But our real job is to find out our why, our purpose. Why are we on this earth? And if you can monetize that, great. But you don't have to monetize it. Your why could be, your purpose could be something else. And I like searched forever. What's my why? What's my passion? I've talked about this before. There's a book called The Passion Test, and there's all these books about finding your passion. And you don't have to monetize your passion necessarily, but you need to be passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it sounds like almost like a catch-all thing of like, if you love what you do, then you never work a day in your life.
100%. Yeah.
But when you're feeling it, it's so true.
It's true. People say, "Oh, what do you mean?" Well, it's not work.
It's not work. It's a game. It's just a beautiful game. Like my customers, I encourage them to message me, and I even say, if I'm unavailable, my phone is turned to silent. So you can message me 24/7.
Yeah.
And I mean it because I love what I'm doing, and it's just a big, beautiful thing. And I want them to talk to me and feel comfortable to do it on their own
Right.
terms. And then I respond when I can respond. Sometimes it's immediately and sometimes it's the next day, but it's not work. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to tell my friend to not message me because I might be having dinner. If I'm having dinner, I'm not going to answer you,
Right.
but yeah.
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 So no, so I totally buy it. I think it's so important. And that really takes us back to the original topic about the wrong river, wrong path.
Mhm.
Because if it's not congruent or in line with your why, right? That our why will, if we follow our why, okay, bear with me for a second. I'm gonna say this,
Mhm.
does it make sense? If we follow our why, I know it makes sense, but if we follow our why and our what, so our what is what we want to build. Okay, so you've been in
Mhm.
this business 18 years, right? I had my sign
Mhm.
company 29 years. But if you know what you want to create, whatever that is, even if it's for your family,
Mhm.
if you know what you want, clarity is power. So if you're
Very.
clear on your
Mhm.
what, get on that boat, that raft, whatever, get on the river, you'll be on the
Mhm.
right river. If
Mhm.
you continue to be clear and um, check in every now and then. Am I following my why and my what?
Mhm.
Then you know you're on the right path.
And I think the thing about where I wasn't on the right path, and I said I wasn't in the right river, and it wasn't because the work that I was doing was wrong or misaligned, because it all was still.
Hmm.
Um, the thing that I was doing was I forgot to take into account the life that was around me. And I mean, my definition of success has pivoted, because my definition of success was to be available for my family whenever they needed me, and to just be present with my family. Like I said, like the phones are off at dinner. We have dinner together every night, and school assemblies. I even volunteered at the school at the lunch lady kind of thing. And I did all those things because I wanted to do those things. I chose to do them and I wanted to be there. And they were more important than business and growing the business. It was sustaining the business without growth, because
Hmm.
if it grew too much, then it would take away from my why, which was to look after my family,
Right.
because they were integral. And then also allowing the flexibility for my team to have that same space, so that, my team, if they're like, I need to take tomorrow off. Yes, like I don't even need to know why. I trust them that I
Hmm.
don't even need to know why. They don't want to come to work, then you don't need to come to work. Like, you have a reason and I trust you. Almost like a joke, if you will, but not at all. Very seriously, it was and then it all shifted in September, and I was standing in my way the of taking those next steps, to going, okay, this I'm ready for the growth. And it was almost like the whole business was crumbling or just stalling, so that I could go, whoa, I really need to do some other things.
Hmm.
So, and I went and I did a local trade show, and I did another one in Edmonton, and I was talking and sharing our story. And it was so beautiful for me to meet some new people that are locals and go, how have I not heard of you? You've been around for so long and I've never even heard of your business before. And it made me
Hmm.
go, oh yeah, I guess I haven't been engaged with my community. And so then I reached out to all these connections that I've been building over the years, and they're all like, you're still here. You're amazing. This is so cool what you're doing. Here's some help. Here's some help. And here's some help. And I'm mentoring students. I have, I think, like 10 now of the students that are working for me. And they're so excited what they're doing. I'm sharing their stories on LinkedIn. They're doing good work. And like, so I love that aspect of what I'm doing. And I'm fixing like all of these jobs, all these projects that I had in my business. I just kept on getting them like 80% done. I
Hmm.
don't tend to finish things, and my staff are great for filling in those gaps. Like, that's what we like. They're not like super creative people, because the whole building would explode if we had another one of me in there. But I have these really nice, good, calm, methodical people that fill in those gaps for me. Strengths, weaknesses,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And yeah, so we're just ready to build and explode, and we have all these cool things happening. And it's like, oh, I've realized, I'm like, okay, this was everything was okay for the sustainability of the business where we were, but now we're on growth mode. So
Hmm.
now I'm like, okay, finish. I'm actually hiring some people, or finding people to fill in those gaps, to finish that last 10-20%. And that's like pivoting everything. And I'm just so freaking excited of what's going to happen this year, because it's like this 18 years of just put everything together.
It's freaking awesome.
It's freaking awesome.
Freaking, this is the theme for today's
Fan
episode.
freaking tastic. Yeah,
Fan
no, and
freaking,
but it might, because my purpose, like it, like the why hasn't shifted,
yeah,
but just the what, the how has shifted.
yeah.
And I was like behind it, and then I stopped and thought and went, oh, never mind.
Well,
Let's go this way.
if you forget about the why, sorry, if you forget about, because you never forgot about the why, if you forget about the what, if you're not really clear on the what, then you might be on, going back to the river analogy, you might be on the right river, but you're not going anywhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So what is the frickin' stern truth then? Okay. So if you can give, before we go, if you can give one with all this,
I'm gonna see if there's anything in my notes here.
yeah,
One stern truth.
start like a golden nugget to give to our listeners if they might be on the wrong river.
I think just paraphrasing what I said before, of knowing your strengths and knowing your weaknesses, checking your ego at the door, having a stern conversation with yourself, going, okay, these are the things I'm good at. Let me enhance those. These are the things that I struggle with. These are the things that I suck at. So either you need to find solutions to that. So either finding people or systems, or, if you are constantly forgetting things, figure out some sort of automated note taker, or like fill in the gaps of your weaknesses. But you have to own your weaknesses and own your gut reaction to stuff, so that otherwise you'll never get out of that cycle of that rut that you're in. You cannot get out of it unless you recognize what your gut's telling you to do, and looking at it from a different perspective and owning like, and putting your ego aside and owning it. That's what I think. And that's been the biggest thing that has pivoted my head in a good way, because I can also own my successes and my strengths too, with my ego at the door. It comes both ways.
Yeah.
Like how empowering is that?
Okay, so let's talk before I go, because there's one more thing. You talk about ego. You mentioned that word a few times. What do you mean by check your ego at the door? Well, how does not checking your ego, how did it prevent you from moving forward, do you think?
I think that some people have a tendency to be over egotistical and some people under, and that's where you get into the imposter syndrome. It's like, I don't deserve those things. I'm not good enough to do that. People won't like me, or they'll reject me. All those things. I think that all ties into ego, like a core self-ego. And then also with, going, I can handle this on my own. I'm a lone wolf. I don't need help. I can do anything. I'm the best that it's ever going to be, and I'm never going to, like, I don't need to learn something. Like, there's always be like the perpetual learner, always learning something new and open to ideas. But as long as it's aligning with your why, it's so much easier to do that. The whole celery test thing. And if you're getting ideas from other things, and then you need to filter them. And it's so easy to say yes, no, when you take your ego and your emotions out of it. And it's also aligned with where you're going and why you're doing what you're doing. And it just makes all this data that's flying at you so much easier to process. Right? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, 100%. I love it. Because I always say to people, I have to be stopping. People who I come in contact with that they think it's a limiting belief. They don't want to do direct, like, outreach. They don't want to go to a trade show. They don't want to go to a networking event, a networking group. They don't want to bother people. They're scared to put themselves out there. Okay. Get out in the community. They're afraid to do that. And I always say, well, you're being ego-centered. Well, why? But I know they're being ego-centered, brings ego into it. And they look at me like, what are you talking about? It's far from it. I don't think I'm that wonderful. In fact, the opposite. Well, that's just it. You're thinking too much about yourself. Stop thinking so much about yourself. Start thinking about your people, whether it's your customers, your staff, your family, be of service to people. Get the hell off your ass, stern truth, and get out there, because they need you. They need your product, or they need your service, or whatever it is. Stop being you're being the bottleneck in everything. Right. So yeah, everything you said, 100%.
And I think if you're coming from a perspective of like, I'm not out there to sell stuff or to go make money, because that's not my why at all. The product and service that we offer, like, there are customers that they'll tell me that, like, their kid is going into surgery, and they ask them, what do you want to bring with you for comfort? And the only thing that they wanted to bring with them that they thought of was pants that we made for them, because they feel so comfortable and wrapped in this warm, woolly softness, you know, or when somebody else said to me that they went into a business meeting that they're really nervous about, and I made them an outfit and they just felt so like put together. It fit them well. They love the color. And then because I genuinely care about what we're doing for people and that relationship with people. I know kids' names and husbands' names and what they do for work and, you know, all those sorts of things. And it's not because I'm trying to sell them something. It's because I like people and I care. So they felt supported going into that meeting. Like they felt this community around them.
Yeah.
And so I came to terms with, like, when I'm sharing my business, it's not about trying to make more money. It's about, like, I'm giving the service of my amazing product that makes people's lives easier and better. And it's a gift. And if I'm not getting it out there, then I'm holding joy back from other people. I mean, and it's not coming from like a self-ego sort of a way. It's just more of like, this is fan freaking tastic, the business I have. Like, it's an important thing to share with the world. We're making ethical, like, I'm manufacturing in Alberta. Like, we actually make the clothing here. We're making good product. I treat my staff really well, and we do free alterations and repairs. So we're reducing our global waste. Global waste and textile waste is one of the biggest polluters on our planet. So I'm very passionate about doing that. Like, we just got a box of wool that I made 10 years ago, and we're doing free pretty much. Like, I mean, it's costing us money pretty much to repair them because I don't want them to go into the landfill. So, I mean, it's good for me to get my business out there, and I'm just very passionate about it.
Well, Steph, this has been a fan-freaking-tastic episode. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to share before we let our freaking amazing listeners go?
Other than I'm really excited, sorry, that's not the word I want to say. I am very honored that you invited me to be one of your guests, or accepted my self-invitation, because I did approach you, to be on your podcast. And I've been really enjoying listening to all of the podcasts, because I made sure that I listened to what.
Oh, you're the one. You're the one.
No, don't say that. There's been lots of people listening to you. And if anybody wants to reach out to learn more about wool, we are posting a lot of videos on YouTube and talking more about, you know, and positioning myself as the wool expert out there, and learning as much as I can, getting nerdy and sciencey about things. Any business development things, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'm sure that you'll put all those wonderful links in the comments of the podcast. And I look forward to continuing our journey on these wonderful rivers together.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And for the rest of you, I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear your comments. Are you, and I want to know, do you think you're on the right river? Comment below, like, share, give us a 5-star podcast review so other people can find this amazing episode just like you have. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you again next week on another episode of The Stern Truth, Business Unfiltered.
Thank you so much for tuning in to The Stern Truth. If you found today's episode helpful, we would love to hear from you. Please like, share, and leave us a review. Also, if you'd like to be a guest in an upcoming episode or join us in one of our Momentum Accountability Group sessions, simply email me to marshall@marshallstern.net. That's marshallstern.net. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep pushing forward and leading with confidence.